Sometimes what seem like simple differences in the way you ask a question can make quite a difference. I was thinking, in honor of Pie Day, many people like to bake a pie or procure a pie that they then want to share with people. There is a difference between, would you like some of this pie? Let's say they made the pie and they're saying, hey, if you want some, you're more than welcome to have it. But then you've got people who are like really into baking and they tried this new recipe and they're so excited and they enthusiastically hope you will try their pie. They want you to try their pie. They want feedback on it. Maybe they're a professional baker and they want feedback on this flavor, and that would help them. So they want you to try this pie if you are willing to. That's a different question. They might still say, would you like this pie? But to be more accurate, to reflect what they want, would be something like, hey, will you try this pie? Possibly even saying to them, I tried a new flavor. This is my first time making it. So that kind of lets you know, maybe they haven't perfected the recipe yet. But if you know they're a professional baker, maybe this isn't your first go around with them of why they need someone to try their pie. And so you might understand that, okay, they need a focus group. So you will do them a favor by tasting the pie, even if you're not really a dessert person and maybe you don't consume much sugar or something, but maybe you're willing, like, yeah, I will totally give you feedback. I will describe the pie so you can put this in your testimonials, etc. So sure, I'll go ahead and try your pie. But that's different than, do you want my pie? Because maybe you're kind of full from dinner. You don't really want it, but you might be willing to help your friend out. Subtle difference, probably does not come to light often when it comes to pie, but it can come to light in other areas of life. One of my favorite stories that Madeline tells from Cuddle Party is that, I think it might have been her first one or one of her first ones. Some guy said to her, would you like a back rub? And she's like, not really. No thanks. Because that wasn't like the top thing that she wanted in that moment. And she realized that guy then seemed to be kind of sad and sulking. And she realized he wasn't saying to her, hey, is this the thing that you would be the most interested in right now? He was saying, well, she kind of realized this after. She said, well, if you're asking, am I willing to receive a back rub that you want to give me a back rub, then yeah, I'm willing if that's what you want. And he lit up and was happy. So then she realized, even though giving a back rub could seem like work, you're working out your hands and your muscles, this guy actually had a desire to give that. And when she was willing to receive that, he was happy. Even though for her, it wasn't like the top thing she might have asked someone for, but her being willing gave him the gift of being able to give that to her. Even though one might observe and think, oh, she's getting the gift because it's must be for her because it's helping her muscles or something. But there are people who, certain things are hard to describe. But I've had someone at a cuddle party, we were cuddling and they said, my hands are feeling kind of grabby. Is it okay if I do this to your shoulders? Which is kind of like a back rub, kind of like a massage, something soothing and enjoyable for me to get my muscles worked on. And so I was certainly very willing. But in the way he described it, my hands are feeling grabby. His hands were wanting to do something like this. Think about people wanting to use a stress ball. Granted, you might not want the energy transfer of stress, but if someone is not putting stress onto you, but using your muscles the way they might with a stress ball, that can be wonderful. And she also talks about, we talked about this on the call today, just, I feel like this is such advanced stuff. At Cuddle Party, some people can barely get used to asking for what they want and saying no. But she says the consent agreement needs to include who is it for. And she has training in that from Like a Pro, which I hope to attend at some point. And the will of consent is very important. That really helps to show who is it for. Even though that back rub might look like it's being done for her, it was actually for the guy giving it who wanted the opportunity to give it. And she talks about our sovereignty and how we need to be able to be at choice to be able to say whether we want something or we don't want it, whether we will accept it or not. And part of that is often being on equal standing. Another example given in this realm is when your boss asks you to stay late. The boss may not know who has already been neglecting their home life and kids and cleaning of their home or their social life or their exercise routine, and who's already feeling burnt out, or who is looking for the opportunity to put in more work to help them advance or help them with whatever their goals might be. So when the boss asks this to an individual, they don't know all that's going on behind. But if they ask it to the whole room, is there anybody who would like to take on this extra project? Then that gives the chance for people who may want that extra time to put in. But by giving them the choice, they can then choose what's best for them and decide. But generally, when a boss is going to be asking something, people often may not feel at choice so much because the boss is an authority and they might worry that their job is in jeopardy if they say no. Just like in many other situations, if someone with higher authority asks you for something, you may feel obligated or that you're just not fully able to say no, authorized, safe to say no, many possibilities. But to review a bit, we need to be able to be at choice to make these decisions about ourselves. We need to be on equal footing or equal authority, kind of peer to peer, especially at a place like Cuddle Party, where that helps us to tune into what we want and make those choices. And then also getting as clear as we can on our requests and invitations. And she even used the words request versus invitation versus offer, and how she knows there are differences and a lot of people don't quite realize how many differences there are. So invitation or offer, would you like this piece of pie? Request, will you please try my piece of pie so I can get feedback? So invitation could sound like, or an offer, would you like the back rub? When in reality, what he really wanted would have been more of a request. May I give you a back rub? It's a different question. The behavior may end up being the same if the answer is yes, but it's coming from a different place. And communicating those differently can help us get more of what we actually want. If the conversation ended when he said, would you like a back rub? And she said no, he wouldn't have gotten what he wanted. And had he asked, may I give you a back rub? She likely would have said yes, as she kind of ended up doing so after. And he was much happier and got what he wanted. So by being clear on our requests, invitations, offers, and asking for what we want specifically and letting it be known who it's for, gets us so much more of what we want. And so in invitations, offers, and requests, making that indication of who is this for? Even if I'm giving you a back rub, if I want to be doing this on somebody's shoulders, it's for me, even if you enjoy it. So learning more about the wheel of consent can only help us, and learning how to make these requests effectively adds more enjoyment to our lives and more of getting what we want. So may we always continue learning and improving our communication skills.